This is the NBC television network.
The Lakers were the team of the 80s, and now they try to recapture that glory and get to the finals in the 90s.
The Blazers find themselves trailing those Lakers, but hope to head back to Portland, tied at 2.
The defending NBA champions are on the verge of elimination, and their three-peat dream is all but dead. So folks, come inside and cool off as the playoffs heat up. It's showtime.
Welcome to NBA Showtime. Now, Bob Costas and Pat Riley.
All right, Pat, you're Rick Adelman for a moment. What do you say to your team?
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be Rick, but if I were Rick, I would say to the players today, their backs are against the wall, and it's about this. They think they're a championship team, Bob. Championship teams don't blow 18 and 12-point leads against Utah and LA at home. Championship teams don't make mental mistakes when the game is on the line. Championship teams get to these points and they break through, and that's what this is about. If they are a championship team, they will win today.
So he should be saying that to them, is what you're saying. In the locker room right now, he should be saying, look, we don't want to be in this position, but we are, and it's a chance for us to prove who we are.
And sometimes it's a sobering effect for the coach. It's almost calming, because you know you're a great team, and you say, I would like to get this team to this point sometime to see exactly what they're made of. Well, this is the day.
All right, we'll talk more extensively about the Lakers and Trailblazers in a moment. But first, the Eastern Conference Finals are on the verge of ending early after the Bulls' 113-107 win over the Pistons yesterday at the Palace. Detroit is in a precarious position indeed. No team has ever come back from 3-0 down to win a series at any point along the way in the NBA playoffs. Finals, early series, never. It's never happened. The way Chicago is playing, the Pistons' chances for the three-peat have gone past the crisis point. Marv Albert is at the Palace for Game 4 tomorrow. The Bulls were on the floor practicing a moment ago. Marv, what's the story?
All right, Bob, to illustrate how severely the Bulls have dominated the Pistons, how about this stat? Over the course of this entire series, the Detroit Pistons have enjoyed the lead for only 3 minutes, 31 seconds. That's been it. So the defending champion Pistons, frustrated and now desperate, face a 3-0 deficit. And as Bob just mentioned, in the history of the NBA, no team has come back after trailing 3-0. A subject I discussed with Detroit captain Isaiah Thomas.
That's all false. You know, if you got to do that, then you shouldn't be playing. If you got to depend on something else to get you up and psych yourself out and all that other mumbo-jumbo, then you shouldn't be playing a game of basketball. That's what I think. Now, somebody else may sit here and tell you something different, but in terms of Isaiah, when I walk out on the court, I'm going to win the basketball game, and I'm coming to win it regardless what the odds are, what history says. If I need some other false thing to pep me up, then I shouldn't be playing the game.
A proud Isaiah Thomas insisting that this series is far from over. And we are joined by the coach of the Phoenix Suns, Cotton Fitzsimmons, who will be with us on tomorrow's telecast. Cotton, from Chicago's point of view, what is their major concern?
Well, I think Phil Jackson wants to be sure his team is relaxed, but not too relaxed. Confident, but not too overconfident. Michael Jordan a few minutes ago assured me there have been no celebrations by the Chicago Bulls. They're focused and ready to play.
So Phil looking to guard against being a little bit too loose with that 3-0 lead. Now, we watch both Detroit and Chicago work out. What do you come away from watching the Pistons?
Well, I think, Marv, first of all, if you believe Isaiah Thomas, there will be a Game 5 in Chicago. But after watching the Pistons leave the locker room after the workout, I think the mind is willing. I'm not certain their body's willing.
Okay, we'll be here for Game 4 tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 Eastern Time with Showtime. Back to Bob and Pat.
All right, Marv, Cotton, thanks a lot. In the overview, here's what I think Chicago has proven already. Michael shoots 6 for 15 in Game 1. In games 2 and 3, he tops 30 points, but he doesn't heat up until the second half. Single digits in the first half of both those games, and Chicago's in control all the way through. They have proven that they don't have to go to him.
Well, I think that's been the greatest improvement on the Chicago Bulls over the last couple of years. Michael Jordan can make the statement. The Pistons know, they know that they're a better basketball team because they have more balance right now. And you're seeing the emergence of Scottie Pippen going from a star to a superstar. Now, over in the West, the Lakers and Trailblazers are minutes away from the tip-off of Game 4 of their series. The Blazers trail that series 2-1, and a loss today definitely is going to probably take away the opportunity for them to achieve the dream that they want, and that is to win the title. We got Dick Enberg and Steve Jones. They're in Los Angeles. What's going on out there, guys?
Well, Pat, as you well can attest, there's not a long-standing love relationship between most coaches and sports writers, and even before this critical Game 4, there's a war of words up in the city of Portland, Oregon. On one side is sports writer Bill Walton, who is now writing a column after every Portland playoff game and often critical of the Blazers' play. In fact, he's raised the ire of the head coach of the Blazers, Rick Adelman, who says he's not at all pleased with what he's been reading.
The reason I responded is because there was so much inaccuracy in him that I just thought, you know, I mean, why is he allowed to continue to say things not only about players, but about our team when he doesn't know our team? I mean, I think it's really hard to be a professional in that field if you don't even take the time to go and talk to the coaching staff and find out what in the world they're trying to do and then make an intelligent comment. And that's what I said. And I'll answer it in my own column.
And here it is, Rick Adelman's column from today's Oregonian. They're writing for the same newspaper in Portland. Give us the facts, Bill, and forget speculation, as he goes one by one through the many critical comments of Bill Walton. Steve Jones, you're alert to what's happening up there in the Northwest. Is this serious? Is it a distraction at all for Adelman?
Well, you know, for coaches, it's serious. Anything that takes away the focus of their ball players from what they're supposed to be doing out on the floor is considered a distraction. For the Oregonian itself, and they've got both of them writing, it's selling a lot of papers. And you know, in Oregon, it's a big, big news story, and they've been talking about it for 3 days.
Well, part of the fact, of course, in Portland, one of the smaller NBA markets, it's so important that the fans eager to read. And now a battle of words continues. And here at Showtime, it's Luella Parsons, Walter Winchell, head of Hopper country. Well, excuse me, Jack Nicholson. We'll get back to you later. And now back to Bob Costas and Pat Riley.
All right, what's your take on this?
I think he made a big, big mistake. I really do. I don't think the media has as much a part as much a part of this game as the players are, as the coaches are, and the ability of coaches and players to take the criticism and deal with it and go on with it is what it's all about. And I think he did create more of a problem than there really was.
So the point is not whether the criticism is valid or not, or whether the press is always responsible or not, and sometimes they are irresponsible. The point is, what are you focused on?
It doesn't make any difference what happens to you. It's how you deal with it. It's how you grow from it. And I think this is a big mistake to answer those criticisms.
All right, we got to call a timeout on Showtime. When we come back, it's the Insiders, Bob Ferry, and a member of the press, the always esteemed Peter Vesey. Back after this. All right, news and views from the Insiders, beginning with Peter Vesey on the Patrick Ewing situation. Now, he had a complex contract clause which would have allowed him to become a restricted free agent and make who knows how much money if he ever became the 5th highest paid player in the league. If it ever got to the point where 4 players in the league made more than he did in straight salary in a given year, he'd become a restricted free agent. The deadline for that is June 1st, and apparently no one's contract's going to be renegotiated in the meantime, so technically Patrick's clause doesn't kick in.
Right, but even if it had kicked in, even if there was a player that was going to be set up for that, maybe Scottie Pippen had re-signed or something and he would have qualified, it didn't matter. The Knicks decided when Dave Checketts took over this club that they were going to re-sign Patrick, not to paralyze their club, their salary cap. They don't want to do that, but they were going to work something out with him. And there's been a lot written in the papers about this June 1st deadline. It's irrelevant. I mean, he is not going to be traded. The clubs around the league have been told he's not going to be traded. The new coach that comes in wants Patrick Ewing at all costs, and that's the way it stands.
There was a point midway through the season, though, where they were entertaining the possibility of trading him, right?
Well, it definitely was. I mean, there was a lot written about the Clippers offering a bunch of players for Patrick, and that was true. But what people don't realize is that the Knicks were prepared to send Patrick Ewing to Miami for Cycli, Douglas, and the #1 pick, which turned out to be the 5th pick. And what happened was, it was right on trading deadline. The Knicks had already decided to bring in Dave Checketts as the president. They asked him about the trade. He killed it.
Ronnie Cycli, Sherman Douglas, and a pick that could have been anywhere from 1 to 5 or whatever, wound up being 5.
Right. And Dave Checketts killed it without even being in there as the Knicks president.
That's good news.
Pat, an interested bystander. How about, speaking of Miami, how about their coaching vacancy?
Well, Miami, I talked to Billy Cunningham this morning, and he told me that they've interviewed Kevin Lockery twice, and the last time up to 8 hours, so they must be very serious about him. But they're going to talk to a couple more people this week, and they're not going to make a decision this week. It'll probably be shortly thereafter. But also, I found out in Minnesota that they've already talked to Jimmy Rogers, the ex-Boston coach. They're going to interview Matt Calvin, who's with Milwaukee. They're going to talk to Fred Carter with Philadelphia. And as of late, again, I've heard that they're going to talk to Gary St. Jean of Golden State, Don Nelson's guy. So they've got a tough decision out there. Right now, if they had to choose, I think they would take Jimmy Rogers.
You know, they don't interrogate spy suspects for 8 hours.
Well,
after 3 or 4 hours, haven't you got the gist of it?
Well, you know the big thing. And then the third job that's open, the New York Knicks. Everywhere I go, I'm asked by cab drivers, bartenders, bellhops.
Pretty much our audience.
Yeah. Bill Cunningham, the managing partner of the Heat, just 10 minutes ago when I talked to him on the phone, asked me, he says, is Pat Riley going to take the Knick job? Well, I've asked Pat. Peter, the other inside, we've tried to get this out of Pat, but I'm tired of answering the question. Once and for all, I'm on the record that Pat Riley is going to take the Knick job. Oh. Now, you can deny it. Don't say anything, Pat.
No, was that a source close to me, or was it...
He asked me.
What about Larry Bird's situation?
Well, to get serious, Larry Bird returned to his home in French Lick after the playoffs, and he's been there for 2 weeks. He'll return to Boston later this week for a back operation, and then he will spend all summer recuperating, rehabilitating in Boston.
You know, there's a lot of people out there who really think this is a career-ending type of surgery. I had back surgery. I know a number of other players that have had it in this league, and I do think that probably when Larry has the surgery, the one thing he will become void of is the constant nerve pain that goes down his leg. So once that's over with, I think his attitude's going to change. I think he's going to realize that he can continue to play, and I think it'll be great news for the
Hopefully it'll help his post-game quotes. It really was.
It
really hurt
miserable.
them.
I mean, low back pain. I mean, if you've never had it, and especially if you have it for an extended period of time, it changes your whole disposition. I mean, ever since I had my back surgery, I mean, look what's happened to me.
Yes, a mellow and likable man. Now on to the Detroit Pistons we go. The patient has not officially been declared dead, but the pulse is very, very faint, down 0-3 to the Bulls. So assuming, just for the purposes of this argument, that the Pistons' days of glory are over, where do they go from here? What do they do next?
Well, I think Jack McCluskey is going to have to explore every possible avenue. He's going to have to get a good draft pick this year. And he's either going to have to make a big trade or write it out what he's got, because these players are pretty old and he doesn't have that many players to trade.
All right, if you talk about a big trade, many key players, Lambier, Edwards, Vinnie Johnson, they're in their mid-30s. Their trade value has been diminished. As I see it, you got 3 guys with a lot of trade value at this point. Isaiah, who's 30, been in the league 10 years, but still only 30 because he came out early. Rodman, Dumars. Do you trade any of them?
No, none of them. This team came together because of their defense. When Rodman and Sally joined the club, and they came together because of the offense of those 3 guards that they have. They've got to keep that group together, get another young guard, get Charles Shackelford from Europe to revive the front court.
I think they did a great job, Chuck did, and Jack, of taking this team and letting it run its course. They had to give them an opportunity to try to win 3 in a row, but I think Bob is right. I think Peter is right. I hate to give them that kind of credit, you know, but I think they have to make some changes, but keep those young guys.
All right, we got to get out of here. You're definitely turning down that proposed Clipper deal, though. That Danny Manning and a draft pick for Isaiah. You don't want that.
No way.
All right, we're gone and back after this.
Although Portland had the best regular season record in the NBA and have advanced to the Western Conference Finals for the second straight year, they don't have the celebrity of the Lakers, Bulls, or Pistons. Yet away from the glare of the national media, Portland has become a member of the league's elite. In fact, they may have acquired all the necessary ingredients to become the next NBA champions. While the Lakers in the 1980s seemed to own both Los Angeles and the NBA, up the road in Portland, Oregon, a powerful team was being built.
In developing a franchise like this, you have to have patience.
I'd get it one piece at a time.
The decision was made that we wanted to go up-tempo a little bit more, and really the first player that allowed us to do that was when we drafted Clyde Drexler.
Arriving from the University of Houston in 1983, Drexler would ignite the Trailblazers' fast break.
Clyde gave us the running, the quickness that we wanted. He was a guy that really we wanted to build around in our full-court game.
Portland selects Sam Bowie, University of Kentucky.
Believing they had their big man for the future, Portland passed on a superstar to be.
I probably was the only one in the room that probably wanted to take Jordan, and everybody wanted to take Sam. No, that's not true.
Delving into the unknown, the Blazers drafted two players from small schools. First, Jerome Kersey from Longwood College.
Jerome was kind of a find. You know, he just wouldn't let us cut him. You know, he just played so well that we couldn't let him go.
And at Wisconsin Stevens Point, Portland would discover their point guard of the future in Terry Porter.
Oftentimes, players come into the league with a big reputation and are content to rest on their laurels. Both Terry and Jerome knew that they had to work and have worked very, very hard.
Still in need of a center because of Sam Bowie's recurring leg fractures, Portland traded away highly touted Walter Berry for a rookie named Kevin Duckworth. The nucleus was now complete.
Once you get a core group and you like your players, I think it's very important that you keep them together and don't tear the fabric of the team apart and try and add to it.
We go out tonight, we're going to control the basket area, both ends. It's going to be our territory tonight.
When they added Buck Williams, they got a dominating force.
We just felt that we had to have a power forward who could play good defense. Be able to acquire Buck was really the making of his team.
But Buck Walther and the Blazers continued to add valuable depth, drafting forward Cliff Robinson out of Connecticut in 1989.
Go! Get back! Danny, get up!
And obtaining veterans Danny Ainge and Walter Davis.
We made the trade for Walter Davis because we felt he was going to help us. But it's always nicer to have him playing on your team than to play on the other team.
It makes it very hard for the opposing team to key in on one or two guys because we have so many people we can hurt you with.
Portland now believes it has all the pieces. And although some arrive from obscure locations, the Blazers feel this assembled cast is capable of meeting the task at hand.
Okay, a couple of points before we send it out to Enberg and Jones for the tip-off. From the Laker perspective, Divot's great against Houston, disappears, arrives again for Game 3, 16 points, 7 boards, 3 blocks.
Well, he only disappeared against Golden State because of the matchups, and he got a lot of criticism for not playing well against them. But he definitely is a player that is unique, and I think he's given them a big lift throughout the playoffs and this year, and one of the reasons why the Lakers have been able to go above and beyond.
But Magic was all over him for not playing tough in Game 2.
He's his motivator. He's his mentor. You know, I mean, he knows they can't win without aggressive play out of the center position, and he's getting that out of Lottie.
And your man Byron Scott has been drilling those threes and hitting big, big buckets at key moments in games throughout the playoffs. Off to Dick Enberg and Steve Snapper Jones from the Great Western Forum after this commercial break. We'll see you at halftime.